Todd Medina, SoulogyOneStudios. What's going on here? Democracies, aristocracies, oligarchies, monarchies, hierarchies, presidents, and popes. What's the real dope? What's this all about? Faith, hope, doubt? That's all that earth stuff, man. I am a multi-dimensional, high-vibrational, evolutionary being, and I'm tired of hiding it. I am soul. I don't care who or what tried or is trying to deceive us. Call it the devil or another's Messiah, prophet, or God. It's all the same to me. Whoever they are, they can never take our souls, and that's when we came here to learn. From the burn of being wrong, denying who we are, taking orders, lawless laws, a branded existence, but not anymore. I am divinity. Yeah. All right. The power we hold to mold the future, heavenly nirvana. From the inside, present, eternal. It's time to be a bolder flame. The game isn't the same. We are the spirit science synthesis, the action of conscious thought, alignment, transmuting to a living wisdom. Yeah. No longer dreaming the life, I am living the dream.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Todd Medina, SoulogyOne Network. We've got an exciting show to end the day with a divine masculine brother. Let me just pull up the comments so I can see who's in the house. And let me just say to everybody, thank you for your continued love and support and contribution so we can continue to expand this energy by adding frequencies to an ever-expanding vibration as we are a mirror of the universe in our own little corner of the universe. Thank you all for coming. Let's see who we got here. Are we on yet? Let me see. 1 second. We must be on because it's showing. Here we go.
Yeah,
we got 17 people in the house. Let's see what we got here. All right. Hello, Susan Hoffman, Edith Ann, Kara DeBurka, Morgan Lee's in the house. Lishy Love, Angie Parker, Brendan RB. 18 people in the house. If these shows resonate with you, please share. That's how we stay above the algorithms of Facebook. And let me just introduce our guest, Shamir Babara, quantum catalyst, planetary architect, evolutionary alchemist, life purpose accelerator. I love that. I'm not big on labels, but I love that description. Thank you for sharing space with us. Thank you for honoring us with your presence. And thank you for your service on behalf of humanity. Welcome to the show. It's good to have you here.
thank you, Todd. Thank you for inviting me to share, to speak here, to get in a conversation with you. And thank you for everyone that is watching right now, everyone that is interacting, everyone that is on this journey as well of stepping more into who we truly are here to be and to embody in this evolutionary process that we are on planet Earth, on Gaia right now. So very grateful to be here.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on. And thank you for coming. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. And everybody's welcome. Everybody here is a part of the energy. It's this vortex that we've all come together to bring our authenticity and our truth and to tell our stories and to share our skills and abilities. And I know we have a gift today, ending the day with this show, because I know a little bit about you, not too much. But I don't know if you've ever watched any of the shows, but I love to ask people the first time they come on is, when did you wake up? How did it happen? When did you realize that things weren't what we thought they were?
Oh, like it happened about 20 years ago for me when I was 18. So I might share a little bit about my history. My ancestry is from India. I was born in Singapore, but raised in Austria from my very early childhood onwards. So with that background, there always was like the question of where do I come from? Where is my home? With Indian heritage, Singapore birthplace, and yeah, all of my social life in Austria. And with 18, like initially I was identified as Singaporean, then later as a teenager as Austrian, wanting to be part of the community. And then when I was 18, through some travels, basically at that time I met with some hippies that had traveled to India, and I was always rejecting my Indian heritage because my parents moved from India to the West because that was what they wanted to share with their children, like a Western approach towards life, which were like their values to pass on. Yeah, but then on these travels, when I met these hippies who were fascinated about India and speaking about their gurus in the Himalayas, I was like, oh, there is really something rich about my culture. And that was like a big spark of me, yeah, wanting to connect to my roots, to my heritage. And from that moment onwards, my goal was to go to India and to find my guru. And during the same time, in Austria, as male citizen, you have to do either military or social service. So I ended up doing a year of social service in the children's intensive care unit of the hospital of the town where I was living in. And during those days, I was confronted with life and death and suffering and a healthcare system that didn't really feel like a healthcare system to me. And I wasn't aware at that time of the sensitivity that I carry and the awareness that I have to tap into other energy fields, but that very much affected me as well. And yeah, so with 18, 19, a quest started on searching for the truth of the universe. Or there were essential questions that I had about the truth of reality and society and the structures that I was raised in and my family. They couldn't provide me with those answers. And so I started this quest on, okay, tapping behind the layers and trying to reveal deeper truths of what life, reality, and the universe is. And it has been an ongoing quest up to now. Continues.
Wow. So let me just ask you, I mean, it's intriguing to me. So you've traveled a lot, I think, over 20 years, haven't you?
I have traveled a lot. Yeah, like initially in my early 20s, I wanted to get out of Austria, but family ties and different karmic patterns like pulled me back. And actually at a time where I felt really settled in Austria, in the mountains, in the Alps, suddenly life spit me out to Bali. And that was my home base from 2011 onwards. And then from there, life put me on a whirlwind tour across the whole planet.
So what's taken you to Australia, to New South Wales? I think is where you're at, right?
Yes, right now I'm in Australia, New South Wales. So it is my beloved that is from Australia, and our connection.
So is mine.
Yes, I know. So our connection made me come here, and I've been here since end of September.
Yeah, yeah. And so, I mean, on this journey that you've been on, I mean, would you say that your connection to the universe is organic, galactic, angelic, divine essences of some sort or another, or all the above?
I think all the above, I would say. Like there's so many realms and layers that I feel I can connect with and tap into. Definitely like a very earth-based, tribal, and indigenous connection that I feel to Gaia. And that is something that I had been exploring and have been exploring as well in the last years of my travels as well. But then also there is a strong connection, of course, through my heritage to Indian spirituality and the Indian gods and demigods, to the angelic realms as well, and to the star nations and the galactic realms. So it is all, and I feel all of us carry a very multifaceted template of how we are connected to reality and to creation.
Let me ask you this: with your experience, and everybody's and giving respect to everybody's experiences, there is no right or wrong. But in these travels, I mean, I sit here in the seat that I sit in, and for lack of a better word, the vocation or job that I have, the mission. It's a beautiful place to be. I get to read energy and experience things through other people's words and frequencies. But I've come to the conclusion for my own right that the greatest expansions, soul code exchange, come from the human to the human, if you will. From the human sharing their story. It's more powerful than any downloads or transmissions or channelings anybody can receive. Have you had a lot of the same thing happen to you in your human interaction as you've gone through the world and traveled?
Oh, yes. Like, I can totally agree to that, what you shared. Like, the deepest revelations or openings come through human interactions. And as you said, your beloved is also in Australia. I'm here in Australia with my beloved and her daughter. And like the deepest, how should I describe it? Like the deepest openings, the deepest teachings that I receive are through these connections with humans, especially in a very intimate space, in a beloved connection. For me, my journey and a lot of revelations and unwinding of stagnation that I felt I had in my system also came through the journey with my parents. Very, very human, basic, foundational relationships. And I feel those are in this field where many of us are very open to a range of frequencies and connections and downloads that we get. But the true teachings, come with these human interactions where it's really about like embodying what we might receive as multidimensional downloads in our physical vessel. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Absolutely, it does. So it's almost like, and I've said it before, and I'm not saying that I know everything because I don't, but it seems like, whatever it is that we are or have been, we came into this world with. So it's almost like we are and contain the Akashic. We contain that which was before we entered this earth. But it's this experiential part. It's the experience. It's the living that, some people call it the living library. I believe that this is how and why we came here, is to expand the outer breadth of the universe. And it sounds very much, it sounds very much like that's your experience, is that we take all this information in and it's all great and it's all fantastic and it's mind blowing. It's even a challenge to the ego, but it's in those real moments that the real revelations and epiphanies come. Does that make sense?
Oh, that totally makes sense. And I totally agree to that as well. And that has been my journey. I feel we come with very individual templates, all of us, to this planet. And for me, my challenge has been to be like really grounded. Like for me, it is easy to connect like to higher realms, but to really be here and maintain my physicality, my physical connections and relationships, that is like the more challenging aspect. It might be for other people, it might be the other way around. They are very comfortable in the physical and have challenges the other way around. But for me, it is more my challenge. I wouldn't say challenge, it is more my learning in fully landing and fully embodying.
Yes, I was gonna bring up that word and ask you. You beat me to the punch, so we're communicating telepathically. But people use this word, embodying. I know my beloved, she's spoken to me about that for 3.5 years, and it took me 2.5 years to figure out what the hell it meant. I would always ask her, what does that mean to embody? But so we take this information that we receive, that we actually had within us innately, and we bring it into this experience and apply it. Is that where we're at now? To apply it, let me say it this way: to go from a human being to a divine human being, to go from a dense realm to a lighter realm.
Yeah, that feels really resonant when you said like from a human being to a divine human being, like really recognizing our divinity in this human experience, like letting go of this separation of divinity and humanity, and embodying meaning to really bring it down to earth, into our physical vessel, to ground it in on the land, working with the people, not it being only etheric concepts that we work with and transmissions that we share. But I feel now is a time, to really ground it. And in terms of embodiment, like my experience has also been like I studied physiotherapy, or I think in the US you call it physical therapy as well, which is like a very physical, body-focused practice. And everything that happens on energetic realms also reflects in our physical vessels. And part of the embodiment for me is to really anchor that in my physical body, and not only believe it and think it, but really be able to feel it, to move it, to live it, to express it.
Yeah, to actually put it to use. It's like, like, what are we going to do with all this information? It's all great. It all sounds good. We're all one. And I'm not making light of that, but, there's a reason that we're here. And I say all the time, hashtag the human is the hero. Another thing that you really bring as an opportunity to explore is what some would call twin flame or soulmate. I would be less inclined to use those terms. I'm not into labels, but divine conscious union. There's, I'll give you an example. My partner years ago received that, we're in the duality, but we're in the age of the Trinity, the Holy Triad, where a third energy is produced in some way and actualized in a way that hasn't been before in physical matter, in a harder density, or a more intense density, or I don't want to use the term lower density. What has your divine partnership, what has it brought to the table for you? How has it helped you expand? And what do you see in that opportunity in terms of the collective as what it can offer to the collective?
It has brought so much to me, and is still bringing a lot to me. And right now there's a time where it is bringing up a lot of me facing myself and my insecurities and my resistance, my fears and my shadows. So I feel that is a big part of what divine union can bring up, is like really clearing my inner field to be really ready to step in to a common mission. And it's like this Trinity energy that your beloved speaks of, as well as my beloved speaks of, like from duality into Trinity, which is coming together in divine union, creating a different energy field that has a purpose that is far beyond our personal purpose only. So it expands the energy field of one individual and creates something different. And if it is chosen in that conscious way to step into a union with a purpose, I feel that is a big step forward in like the evolution of really embodying heaven on earth, because that's where it all starts, in relationships between man and woman, which basically creates family, which is the foundation of social structures, which then expands into bigger collective structures. But it is basically the foundation of the template that we live in, is the relationship between man and woman.
And of course we're talking energy. We're talking energy. I mean, the physical incarnation associated with gender doesn't always apply.
Yes, energy.
But and let me ask you, I mean, in your divine union, people talk about the golden child being Rumi Morgan found a book about a month ago, and we read a passage. It was a Rumi book, and of course, again, we're talking metaphorically and energetically, not so much literally. And he said, be careful who you are intimate with, because anytime two people are intimate, they create a third energy, whether it is in physical matter or not. Do you find in your divine union that there's been the creation of a golden child, a third energy that is in and of itself its own consciousness?
Oh, yes, that's very true. Like, I can totally agree to that. How should I describe it? Like, we met in the UK while my beloved was still based in Australia. I came to Australia. We had certain ideas and visions of how we will move forward. But basically, this third energy that was created had its own plan and had its own agenda, basically. And we were put on a very different trajectory.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely there is something, and if it is done with that awareness and integrity of really holding that sacred container of a relationship in divine union, like in my experience, there definitely is a momentum that gets created that is far bigger than any of the individuals can control.
Yeah. It's like somebody said to us a month ago or so, we were talking about the golden child, and I don't remember if it was in a comment or a conversation. And we said that, our golden child, which has appeared to us, which has spoken to us, which directs us, is Soulogy. And not that we are Soulogy, that we were just, it was the product of our relationship, our coming together. And then others start to fill that space, aunties and uncles and such. But said to us, Soulogy's older than you are. And I was like, whoa, that actually doesn't make sense to the human, but it makes sense that energy that's created by divine love is actually the original and only energy there is, something like that. Now, in terms of your relationship and the introspection that you have from it, what do you see in terms of the transition or the trip that we're on, the role of the feminine energy and the masculine energy? What do you see that being? What does that look like to you as you've gone through this and still do?
Yeah. So the feminine is like, to me, it feels like the nurturance. It is Gaia in the polarities, and the masculine is the more galactic, the thought forms, the structure, the concepts. But now, in coming into this union, and I feel both of us, my beloved and me, we are both very balanced in those aspects of femininity and masculinity, that this duality can kind of dissolve, and we can take these roles or parts whenever needed, without it having been like it has been for many centuries. Okay, this is what women are supposed to do, this is what men are supposed to do. But now it can be more what's the word, homogeneous, is that a word?
Yeah,
homogeneous. And it can be, we both can embody in balanced ways the masculine and the feminine, and don't have to stick to this archetypical ways of how the masculine or the feminine has to be, just because of the ways that we are embodied in.
Yeah, it came to me earlier today, and I hadn't even shared this with Morgan, because I didn't think about it when I was talking to her. But on the previous show, our sister that was on there, 3D memory, I can't even remember her name at this moment. But so she was talking about how, and I'll just put it in human terms, how in our journey, she was saying how in January, she felt that we reached a collective point where the soul was in the driver's seat, where the human, or we might call it the ego, was no longer directing the way. And so I look at this explanation that you're given, and going back to what I received after that show, before this show, which was like, I was thinking about it, I was like, okay, now we're a Trinity. So you got this feminine energy, you got this masculine energy, it's in ourselves, it's duplicated in the physicality. And it's like we're no longer in the driver's seat. That third energy is leading the way. And I was like, whoa, now that's not the red pill or the blue pill. That's the pink unconditional love pill. You know what I mean? That's like the total trust pill. And because it doesn't have a physicality yet, it is that ultimate epitome of a faith in the non-physical, which we are. We know that. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, that very much resonates with me. And for me, it somehow has been like an acceleration the last months especially. And I totally have to let go of being in the driver's seat and controlling this journey. And it has somehow been, I have practiced this for quite a while. Like my first initiation was like in a Bhakti yoga tradition, which is like devotional yoga. But basically I would surrender my day, my practice, my will to the divine, and try to be of service to that. And it has worked, being on my own journey, on my own path. I still had my own control. But as this lady that you were speaking with shared, from January onwards, and I feel this year, it's gonna continue to amplify. We are gonna be moved if we are in this path of union and devotion and service, without us having the control anymore, without us being in the driver's seat. And for me, my practice or my challenge, although I had practiced it before, has been like of letting go of that. And it has been hard. Yeah,
it is. It is faith. I call it spiritual inertia. If you look at the second definition of inertia, it's and I add the word spiritual, it's moving forward unencumbered, always moving though, always moving. And so if I look at it on an individual journey, so many people I talk to in my own experience too, is, you wake up and your whole world turns upside down and you're hearing these voices, go do this and go do that and go do this. And it's totally not just atypical, but it's totally opposite of everything that we were taught, everything we were conditioned to do. And so that's an individual journey, and you keep following it. And that's what I mean by the non-physical. So there's nothing you can prove to anyone else. Oh, I started Soulogy. Well, I didn't start Soulogy. I'm just a conduit. And so it's something of substance. And people are like, well, you can't, that there's nothing there. You're not getting paid for it. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. You're not normal. But now it moves into this Trinity. And to me, it's the same thing. And that's what I mean. This third energy is a non-physicality that's beginning to form a physicality. And that is, I think, what I'm seeing as this holy triad energy is being pushed forward in that spiritual inertia. It's beginning to actually form things and actually change things in our world, be it the false financial structures or the government or whatever, so that's kind of where I was going with that. Now, in your relationship, do you see the effect? And I know you're very humble, but I mean, do you see the effect of your energy, your combined energy, that holy triad with the third energy on other people?
Yeah, definitely. Like on other people, like for both of us, like I'm also not very, how should I say, I also don't really like labels, but one of the pieces that put in, like the description is planetary architect. So both of us have been working a lot with the planetary ley lines and with the planetary grid. And so also us coming together, a lot of the effect of the Trinity has been like on the grid lines and on the ley lines, and that interacting with people. Right now, there's been like a big shift and a big move in this place where I'm right now, or where we are right now, Henrietta and me, and also Harry. She has a 9-year-old daughter, and Sandy, a little dog. So it's 4 of us. This place that we have landed on, it's like a new city of light that is evolving, and we were blessed to land on this property here. And it is bringing like new energies and new frequencies to the place, and the people around here, I feel they are very much feeling it in some way or the other. So definitely that Trinity energy has an effect on the land, on surroundings, on people.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. And not only that, but on the entire holy grid,
Yeah.
it does, whether everybody's seen it on a literal basis or 40 people are seeing it on a show real time. Yeah. Now, so I mean, let me ask you this too, and I haven't been able to really, or I haven't remembered to ask this question. I've experienced it, but I'm interested to know. What would you say is the difference? Because you obviously have had divine episodes, divine intervention in the singular, as an individual. What would you say is the difference, and anything you want to elaborate on, in terms of connecting jointly with your divine partner as opposed to only connecting on your own?
I have to trust that there is no safety net. Does that make sense? Like when I was navigating on my own, there was always like this, how should I say, like a security belt that I could put on, or a safety net, or I could retreat. But in this union that we are navigating in, it seems that is no more there, and there is like a much deeper layer of trust and surrender that I have to come up with.
I get that. I totally get that. So I totally get that because when you're alone, I can remember many times I would get something in or something would happen, and I'd be like, wow, and then I could always say, well, nobody saw me. Nobody else was privy to that. And so even on my own, I might do a ritual in the middle of a forest or something and really let my throat chakra come out and just do some things that I wouldn't do in front of other people. But I think I know what you're getting at. And that is, and it's very important, and I can't even say I've done this to a full degree, and that is to be with my partner and actually let loose like I would let loose when I'm in communion and connected, and speak light language or chant or dance or whatever the case is, because you're right, that is trust. It is trust, and then you're conveying that to someone in the external, or at least seemingly in the external, right?
Yeah. And it also happens not only necessarily needing to be like physically together in the same space. Like last weekend, I was on a little bit of a self-retreat, and I ended up in Wolamben, which is like one of the sacred sites here for the indigenous of these lands, like a masculine mountain. And yeah, something came through that I did there, a prayer, a ceremony with sound. But the connection that we have, it is like so strong that although I was there on my own, I somehow wasn't on my own.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I totally get that. Morgan and I separated physically. She had to go back for the birth of her first grandbaby, and also visa. issue.
Yeah.
So we're fixing that. But actually, what had happened was I went to Honolulu to see her off, and I stayed an extra day to go down to the visa office. And I went to the visa office and I got the papers, so next time she comes, she doesn't have to leave, in 90 days. But when I came out, I just got that channel, that we all get as conduits. And I wrote a little meme and I said, everywhere I look, I see your beautiful face. I'm not missing you because you're with me. And I was like, whoa, that's what I'm getting what you're saying. And so many things over the 3 or 4 days since she's left have been the same. It's like there's a human part of me that's fading, that's not getting locked in on the sadness of the separation, because everywhere I turn, she's here. Even some of the transmissions I've received in the last 3 or 4 days and written are expressed, they're not my style. It's not even it doesn't feel like what I've been doing for 7 years. And I even told her, I said, that was you coming in somehow. I can't explain it, but I think that's what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, and it's interesting, like these pieces that you were sharing that you were navigating with, like visa situation. So that's like a big piece for us as well here right now. So I'll also have to leave the country end of March. And yeah, in that sense, like trusting the process and trusting the connection, like that is a piece that I am learning, I guess, to surrender into the process and not, like, for me, I feel like I had or have the tendency to pull back when things become like too much, too complicated, too difficult.
Yeah.
And like that is my practice right now, not to do that.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. She's come 3 times. I haven't been able, I was going to leave after the second time, but I had a passport issue. So I totally get it. Right. So the first 2 times after she left, I spun out, I did. I wasn't aware of it, but I did what you were talking about. I pulled back to what I was comfortable with and what I knew, which was maybe reckless and maybe was, irrational or whatever the case was. But about 3 weeks before she left this time, just, so often we say things, we don't even know what we're saying, right? They come out first energetically, and then later on the human's like, oh yeah. But, and I said to her, I said, I'm not going to spin out this time. I'm okay now. And so I totally get that. Yeah. It's intriguing because the human aspect of ourselves is, maybe it's what Julie Lydon, the previous guest, was talking about in January, and what you were talking about is that the soul is in the driver's seat now, and although it's not comfortable or normal to the human, it's the human part of us is accepting it, because the human is so important. We can't forget that, Yeah. I get that. I get that, what you're saying. So now, as you've gone through this period of 20 years, what's it been like to see the evolution of the collective, especially over the last 2-3 years, especially over the last year and a half? I mean, have you seen, what have you seen? Have you seen a big change? Are you seeing more and more people?
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing a big change, like definitely in the circles and the fields that I'm moving in and weaving in. I feel that it has been very accelerated the last years. Like I remember it was 1999 when I heard the first time of the Mayan calendar, in 2012, and the end of the world or shift of consciousness. And I was like, whoa, that's like 13 years. That's such a long time still to go. And now it's like 2019. And to be honest, of what I expected or what I thought could be possible in terms of us as human beings tapping into fields of consciousness and embodying it and really trying. I feel we are still trying to like really ground and anchor it, because there's still big fields to be cleared. But I still feel, in my experience, that I have exceeded much more than I could expect in the very beginning. Like, I get surprised and amazed again and again about what is unfolding and how things are amplifying and how fast people are increasing their awareness.
Yeah.
Like, there is, maybe just as an example, like, I was raised in Austria in 2011. I left Austria, but then due to my mom's sickness, I got pulled back to spend time with my family in Austria and started like sharing and offering my work there as well. And the Austrian people in the mountain are known to be a little bit narrow-minded. There is a saying, the horizon doesn't go beyond like the mountains. But me just being there over the last years, year for year, I can see like a huge shift in the awareness of people and the willingness of people and the openness of people to change the habits and the patterns that they have been in and generations have been in for so many years, because they just feel and they see it doesn't serve them anymore to their highest well-being and to the highest expression of their joy. And it is like, I get really excited when that happens, and I can see year for year the progress. And many times along this journey, of course, I've been challenged as well, and I've been like questioning, like, what the heck, am I just dreaming this up? Is this is this what I believe in? Is this what I believe in, like, really happening? Or maybe should I just get a 9-to-5 job, start watching football or soccer and let it all go? So I had these challenging times as well. But then when I observe how things are changing, and especially with like the children and the younger generation, with what frequencies and fields of consciousness they are coming in and what they are bringing in, like, I feel it is really, amping up.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point too, because going back to the embodying, it's as it ramps up, and the energy of an expanded consciousness begins to integrate, into our physicality. It's like the miracle energy is surfacing, and there's a part of us that's like going, hey, this doesn't make sense. How can this be? I mean, and it goes back to what you're saying, and Morgan said it to me a lot. She's like, and she said it to me 2-3 years ago, and it used to piss me off, because she'd say, well, if the universe wants us to be together, we'll be together. And I'm like, wait a minute, we got to do something here. I mean, it's I don't know. It's weird, because I got this recently too. Was like, there's a part of the human that we're leaving behind, but there's a part of the human that we're going to take with us. And I really believe that the human species, the human hybrid species, this universal rainbow DNA composition child, the species, the biggest offering it has to the universe is the human heart. If you look at all the history of humanity, everything we've done has been from the heart, whether it was the ego or the soul. So it's like we're like you used to use the word challenge a minute ago. Is the biggest challenge? I put the question to you: getting used to our magic. Getting used to the fact that we actually are these divine creatures that have unlimited potential and can create anything.
I feel it can be a big challenge for many people. And like, for me, when my journey started, as I shared in the very beginning, it wasn't like I had any psychic abilities, or I could tap into other dimensions right away. But for me, I was just a strong believer Like I had this belief that was unshakable, that believed in this magical reality, and I didn't give myself like satisfied with the reality that was placed in front of me, and was like striving and trying to explore more of what there is. And the deepest magic lies in the heart, as you shared. Like the human heart has such a capacity to give love and to share love. I remember so much along my journey where I felt like it was all too much, and I just wanted to give up. But then like my heart started like vibrating and speaking, and the love came through, and that gave me so much capacity of strength to move forward and to move through things. And
yeah, I can relate to that. I think a lot of people can, which is you get to that point where you're just like, get me out of here. But you're right. The heart starts vibrating and you know you can't go. And that's why I say, there is a lot of intensity for all the acceleration we've had and abilities to process quicker and with a greater wherewithal, the energies and the shadows processing and that, it is a lot. It is a lot for us to take on. And I think, I go back to it when I have things trigger me or whatever, and that is we all showed up. We all showed up here. It's not the galactics or the archangels or the angels, it's us, which is a composite of all of that. We're doing the work. And I think it's what I'm getting from you is it's time to put it into motion, to actualize it, to put it to use, and be brave and courageous. And we've come this far. Why would you want to stop now? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And yeah, really, like as you shared in your experience with the divine union here in my beloved relationship, but I feel that Trinity can expand even further, or it is time to expand that further and collaborate, like you as well with Soulogy. It is like helping to bring others on board, to create like this wave of awakening, to increase it, to make it a bigger one, and then it receives more momentum. Like we have definitely come amazingly far in very many fields, and there are still probably many challenges that we as a collective are facing. But I remember when my journey started, like I had this vision of how I feel life could or should or would be lived on this planet, in harmony with the earth, in harmony with other fellow humans. And I feel now it is time to bring it into form.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
to create like really sustainable communities. And I feel up to now, and maybe still now to a certain extent, this is like preparation work for what is truly to anchor and truly to come and truly to be embodied. So all of the clearing our ancestral lineages, like looking at my own shadow aspects and ignorant pieces that I've been carrying, that's all preparation work for what we are really truly here to create.
Yeah, I agree. And then there's this other element, and I want to ask you about this. So there's this other element that seems to be popping in. It's along the lines of what you're talking about with the faith. Faith, the transitive verb, to trust and believe. And that is that, there's something about the manifestation part, the materialization part that you're talking about. And it's like it doesn't happen by the methods that got us to this point. It happens by aligning with those things that resonate with us in our heart. So, for instance, if we have visa rules and regulations or financial institutional regulations or whatever, laws or rules or whatever, that if we, and this is a question, if we stay in that heart, if we stay in that individual, joint, and collective heart and hold that space and only hold the highest intention, not how we're going to get there. We don't have to march, protest, or boycott, but just hold it. Will it actually break down that false grid, that false matrix, and create that heaven on earth? What are your feelings?
Yeah, let me first share about like my personal experience right now in this. So with these certain challenges that have come up now recently as well, like I've felt like the tendency to exit that heart space, and like that fear space maybe has come in, if that makes sense. But with that fear space coming in, like everything starts to crumble.
Yeah.
Like within, and the faith gets lost. But I feel staying in that heart space, like I feel we have the capacity as humans individually and as a collective as well to change so much in the next years.
Yeah.
That from my understanding and how I perceive reality and life on earth, which is very necessary to be changed for the planet and for the future generations.
Yeah. Let me ask you one thing first, not ask you, but let me just say this to you. If you and your partner would ever want to come on together and share your frequency, this is a platform that we would support you to do that. And if you want
That's
to do
beautiful.
that, just let me or Morgan know. Let Morgan know, not me, because I'm not too good with the details. But so it would be better if you let her know. We would love that. Would be something that I think would be a gift to humanity, because that energy, that frequency, that vibration serves us all to be seen. Secondly, let me ask you now: are you and/or your partner practitioners? Do you work with people? Do you do energy work?
Yes, okay. Both of us do. Like my partner Henrietta, she does mentoring and coaching on a very high level. She helps people to like her aspect is to bring things into form. She supports people to bring their visions into form. So that is how she works. I work a lot energetically with sound, vibration, and frequency. So what I'm offering right now is also like with the visa situation that I'm in Australia right now, I can't work directly with people right now. So I do soul sound activations with people. So we tap in, connect energetically, see what is present right now. And I work with my voice with different instruments and record a sound journey for people that they can listen to for a certain amount of time that unravels whatever needs to be unraveled, working with ancestral lineages, calling in the higher selves to be embodied. So it's working with the Akashic field and with sound. That is how I'm working right now.
That totally resonates. It really, really resonates with me. I'm big on that sound vibrational thing. I really feel that that's, well, you see it happening with light language at first, and now toning. It's just it is truer. It's what came before, what was before words. But although we're in a integrating realm where we're integrating polarities, again, we get back to what we came in with what we've learned while we've been here, what we've experienced while we've been here. I want to ask you, and be sure to please put up your links on how people can reach out to you, contact you for what you do and your partner in the comments when the show's over. But I want to ask you too, before we run out of time, I want to ask you, there's a lot of people, and I've said this many times, a lot of people look at someone like you and think, oh, well, he's got it all figured out. Everything's okay. Do you go through energies that challenge you? And if so, how do you, on a personal level, process them? How do you engage them, and how do you integrate them?
Oh, I go through I go through energies that challenge the heck out of me. Yeah, and I feel, in this process of evolution as well, there are like different waves of people that do the process, and like people that are on the forefront. I feel a lot of us right now are processing not only for us individually, but for different collectives. It might be ancestral lineages or other collective fields that we are connected with.
Absolutely.
So I definitely go through challenging times. Just recently, a few weeks ago, I was going through emotional challenges, just confronted with the situation here right now, and certain circumstances that brought up a lot of literally digestive issues for me. And I am a person that processes very emotionally. So I process a lot through my emotions. So for me, I cry a lot.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have to shake, sometimes I have to just move it through my body, as it is also about embodiment, right? So all of these energies that are moving through, like for me, my channel of clearing has been my body, and a lot my emotional body. So I have relearned. I think as children we do it naturally, but I have relearned to allow my emotions just to flow through me and to run very freely.
Yeah, that's what Julie was saying in the show before, and I know on the masculine side, which I was talking to Morgan today, because she had received yesterday that something big's happened for the masculine, and I said I did too. This was last night, but I don't remember what it was. And then I was talking to Julie Leiden on the previous show, and she was talking about the feelings. There's a difference between feeling and emotion. And it hit me, and I thought, what I think is happening, or part of what's happening, is that the masculine energy is beginning to allow those emotions, because I know that's what did it for me a few months ago. When I said to Morgan one day, I was like, I'm angry, and she's like, "What, do you want to clear it?" And I said, "No, I just want to feel it right now." And from that moment on, I was like, anytime I got really sad because she wasn't here, or I was angry, or whatever the case was, I just let it. That's okay. I'm going to let you, go ahead. And then it came in and it was gone. Not gone as in left my body, but actually integrated with all of my being in pure unconditional love. Inequality just permeated through my body. Yeah, it was a big revelation. And I think that maybe, from my perspective, from where I'm sitting and what I've watched and observed, that's what's happening. This masculine energy is starting to allow itself to feel these emotions, and therefore liberate itself from the prison that they engage, offered us, or
Yeah. When the emotions flow, they don't control us anymore. When we allow them to flow. And that is something as well that I'll be setting up, like for men specifically, like to connect to that emotional aspects as well, and allow them to flow.
Yeah, that's very important. Very important. Yeah, very important. So so everybody out there, he's going to put up his links. This is 2019. Yeah, I mean, this is 2019. This is the year that we're all coming out. Every one of us, collaboration, co-creation, and support for each other. So please put up your links. I look forward to collaborating with you in the future, and or your partner together.
Thank you, Todd.
I think you guys have a lot to offer, and I really appreciate the fact that you took the time to spend some time with us and share space and honor us with your presence. So, best to you and to your beloved and to the young indigo that's living with you, and also
She's a beautiful dragon.
dragon.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of dragons here in Kauai for the last few weeks, but
Yeah.
It's a beautiful journey. It's a beautiful journey. Is there anything else you'd like to add, or anything else you want to tell the audience?
Yeah, I want to share my gratitude to you and Morgan as well for creating this space together, allowing these expressions to come through, allowing people to tap into what is happening in this realm for so many people. Thank you for inviting me, allowing to share. Thank you everyone who tapped in and tuned in, shared their comments and their reactions. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being present. I will put contact links in the comments for me and Henrietta as well. And if you would like to know and receive more information on our offerings, please, feel free to be in touch. We are just working on different layers of setting up our offerings that are coming through. So there's no current web page that is present, but I can share the contacts and we'll be happy to share information.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And let me know if we can assist you at Soulogy in any way, when you, particularly when you come out with this offering for the masculine specifically, because I really feel like it's time to really step out and expand awareness and support each other without ridicule, without judgment, and to go to our strength, because really, as you already have found out or finding out, when we go into those emotions and allow them and we step into our feelings, this is where the real power of the true sacred divine masculine is, and it's very needed now, and it will accelerate our experience.
Yeah. And it is so beautiful. It is a beautiful space to be in when we can give ourselves permission to go there.
Yeah. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Oh,
I look forward to working with you again. Thank you. Best to you.
Much love.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Take care, everyone. Much love.